aka Dauntless. I said our speech today was going to be about spring, because I hear a lot of people complaining about it's not here as they expected. They're blaming this poor little rodent back in Pennsylvania for it. And if you're putting all your faith in the rodent, anyway, you deserve what you get. But I have noticed that here in our area, at least, I'm seeing the crocuses and the daffodil starts to come out. To me, that means it's spring. Just about 10 days before we have the spring equinox. But as far as I'm concerned, when I see the daffodils, it's springtime. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about spring because I want to leave plenty of time for the program and hopefully for table topics. I want to introduce a few of our players today. I'll bring the speakers and their evaluators a little bit later. The grammarian today is Brian Norris, aka the Barrister Brian. Barrister Brian, because he's a lawyer, he's also, no, you're the other Brian.
I wasn't paying attention.
Barrister Brian is our grammarian. Do you have a word to put today, word of the day?
Fellow Toastmasters, the word of the day is preposterous. The prefix pre, meaning before, prefix post, meaning after, and os, which is Latin for bone. So this is before, after bone, which is the most preposterous definition I could come up with for the word, which really means absurd, ridiculous, foolish, stupid, ludicrous, farcical, laughable, comical, risible, harebrained, asinine, inane, nonsensical, pointless, senseless, insane, unreasonable, irrational, and illogical. Preposterous.
A little bit more about Brian. Brian is an attorney, as you're aware, which reminded me that St. Patrick's Day coming up, and he's noted for running all of the snakes out of Ireland. And unfortunately, they all swam to America and became lawyers.
No reaction.
Our timer is Cindy Benson. Cindy Benson, aka Sassy Cindy. She's one of our newer members, and she's daring to take on an important role today. When you want to tell us about your speech, your role in our today's meeting.
So I am timing both speeches and table topics today, and I will show the cards green when you reach the minimum of your time, yellow when you're halfway through, and red when you've reached your limit.
And if you want to write down further notes, Brian, Larry is 5 to 7, and Laura Lee is 6 to 8.
Thank you.
And now for the other, Dr. Demento, Brian Norris is going to be our table topics master today. And if you want to, you can give us a hint. Otherwise, you can just let us wait.
I am going to let you wait and let your mind spring thoughts forward as to what I could possibly do for some preposterous table topics.
Okay. And as you can tell, I have a preposterous agenda of introducing people today. Our general evaluator, Svetlana, aka the Kazakhstani Rose, because of her love of roses and all things beautiful. And she's going to be evaluating me. That's why I had such a nice introduction. I don't want to waste any more time. We're going to get into our program. Our first speaker is Larry, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name. I haven't heard it pronounced. So I'm just going to call him Larry the Lip. He's author and lecturer and all around nice guy. His title is going to be, I wrote it down, I can't read my own. Refreshing and Old Brian? Brain. And Old Brain. His evaluator is going to be Sarah Scancer, is that right? Sarah Scancer, aka Saucy Sarah. So please welcome Larry.
Hello, Toastmasters. I recently heard a neurologist telling a group of seniors that the best way to keep an old mind fresh is to go out and do something new. So I went to a marijuana dispensary. Now, don't pretend that you haven't been there. It's the only explanation for why this early in the morning, some of you are so darn happy. Boy, did the smell of that dispensary bring back memories. I went right to the counter and I told that young woman, I'd like to buy a lid. She said, oh, the Dollar Tree is just up the street. She didn't even know what I meant. In my day, you used to buy a lid for $10. A lid's the amount that you stuff the marijuana into a Prince Albert can, close the top, there's your lid, 1 ounce. And then later they started selling it in plastic bags. And the way you knew when you had a full ounce, 4 fingers, a 4-finger bag was the size of a Prince Albert can. Well, they don't sell it by the lid anymore. They sell marijuana by the gram. She showed me. It's the size of my thumb, a gram. When I was in school, they tried to teach us metrics, but I didn't pay any attention because I never imagined they would apply to something so important. So now they sell it by the, so the young woman explained to me the reason for that. She said, pot is a lot more potent now, more potent. And I thought, that's preposterous. I told her, she said, you know, it has health benefits. It can even improve your eyesight. I said, the pot I used to smoke could help you see deep. She rolled her eyes like an atheist. One time, a friend and I bought a whole pound of pot. It came in a grocery bag. It said refresh on the side. It was an honest business venture, come 45 years too soon. Budding marketers that we were, we called ourselves the Dope Brothers. And we wanted to sell it all in one night. So we invited people over for an Amway style party with the promise that we would roll the world's largest joint. Well, I lived in a brand new apartment with all the latest amenities, but it was small. So I tipped my mattress upright in order to make a little bit more room. One guy looked at that and said, why is your mattress like that? I said, well, that's how I sleep. His eyes went all dazed. He said, wow, man, you're the future. And that was before we lit the first joint. So my friend and I, with everybody gathered around, we lit the papers, the zigzags they were called. We lit them and pressed them together and laid them all out and rolled that joint. When it was finished, we had rolled a joint so large it could be shot out of a submarine. And we lit that torpedo on fire. It burnt like a biblical wood, brightly without getting any smaller. And as we were passing it around, one guy stood up. I didn't know him. He was just a guy with long hair and a beard. A lot of us looked that way in those days. And he said the most remarkable thing. He said, "Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the earth." And when we saw the glow around his head, some people dropped to their knees. We all went quiet, stone silent, in fact. And I thought to myself, inherit the earth. I'm going to be a property owner. We were all so inspired that everybody lit their own joints. And I thought, man, the grass has multiplied like the bread and fishes. But then later I found out they'd broken into my stick. It was my first religious experience. The holy smoke rose in a cloud of glory, and the heaven even opened and showered us in a communal baptism. I didn't realize it was a sprinkler system until the fire alarm pierced our perfect peace. And then we heard Satan's siren. The next miracle was how quickly our disciples deserted. My friend and I grabbed up all of the grass and we put it into the sink and we turned on that high efficiency brand new disposal and we watched our dope brothers' dreams swirl down the drain. Well, the woman at the counter didn't even shed a tear, didn't crack a smile. She just handed me a little sample. She said, "Try this. You'll feel like you're born again." But I already felt renewed. I realized that neurologist had been wrong. You don't need to try something new. All you need to refresh an aging brain is the detailed telling of an old memory.
That one could take
Growing
it
up in the
to the district
60s.
finals.
We called it wacky tobacco. And when Bill Clinton was talking about how he didn't inhale, I was thinking if you were my age, there were two types of people. There were people that tried it, people that lied about it. At least in the college. Take a couple minutes to fill out the little evaluation form for Larry. I don't know if that's an appropriate humorous speech or not, but it sure hits the humorous part. Our next speaker has kind of a long introduction, so I'm going to introduce the evaluator first, and then get in straight into Laura Lee's evaluator is Krista Colway, AKA the Dutch Harbor 10. She's a NOAA marine scientist and dog lover, as we all know, and has also been fantastic president for us a couple of terms, isn't it now? Just one?
It just feels like more.
Okay. And she's going to be evaluating Laura Lee Norris, AKA Ace Norris. She's a master of everything that comes to electronics. She's an electronics whiz. She's got our online thing going up. Great gun. Added a lot to Toastmasters throughout the state, not just in our club. So her speech title is Bring Our Kids Home. And the person in the story is a fictional character, not a real character, so don't worry about it. Please welcome Ace Norris.
Because of the PowerPoint, I will be presenting from over here.
I'm expecting you to shake her hand at the end.
I would like to tell you about a girl that I am going to call Sarah. She is 12 years old, has brown hair, brown eyes, and you see her on the street. And you see her walking down with her daddy, and you kind of notice that she looks familiar, but you're not exactly sure where you've seen her. She has a really odd stick-on tattoo. It's a dollar sign. And it's a really odd choice, but you wave anyway. You know, you're polite. You can have her own choices. Her teacher, Mrs. Hanson, has noticed that she has a new fancy cell phone that she just can't put down. Miss Hanson kind of rolls her eyes, you know, sixth graders, they just can't put down their new cell phones. They're so exciting. But when Mrs. Hanson tries to say, you know, put away your phone and then I'm going to have to take your phone, Sarah flips out. And they actually have to call the security guard at the school because she just has such a huge meltdown about getting her cell phone taken away. And you know, she's hanging out with these new friends, and it's the wrong crowd, but I guess birds of a feather flock together. They're supposed to be doing an assignment that Mrs. Hanson just gave with a new short story, and they're supposed to be journaling about it, but instead of journaling, my friends are whispering loudly, not very effectively, about this new vacation that her and her daddy are going on. And there's something about money and this game, and Miss Hanson cannot figure out for the life of her what this game is. What you and Mrs. Hanson don't know is that Sarah, she has kind of a strange background. She's actually a runaway. And the day that she ran away is the day that she got picked up. She was recruited. And this game that she's playing is not a game at all. The vacation that her and her daddy are going on, she's going to be sold on. And she's going to be traded for what are opioids that she's now addicted to. And this is a story that is very familiar to most commercially sexually exploited youth. Sarah has ran away from home, and now she is stuck with this man that she calls Daddy. So some months later, she keeps seeing this woman who keeps coming up and talking to her, and she cannot believe why on earth this woman has taken such an interest in her. She keeps asking questions. She's nosy and wants to know where she's going. She wants to know who's picking her up. And she's like, can you just leave? But no, she comes every month. And then she's coming twice a month. And now she's coming once a week. And no woman has ever taken such an interest in Sarah. Not even, and especially, for foster mama. But Sarah decides it could actually be nice to have someone take an interest in her. This lady is actually from an organization called A Village for One. And because of this lady, Sarah is part of the 1% who make it out of her modern form of slavery and make it home. Through working with A Village for One, Sarah actually figures out that she doesn't need the drugs. She doesn't need it to survive. She can keep going even past the time that she was supposed to be being sold so that she could get more. And she realizes that through a whole bunch of counseling, that her daddy really didn't love her. He was actually selling. Mrs. Hanson has noticed as Sarah goes through this process of counseling and getting off the drugs, she's actually turning in her homework. She's actually attending class. And her grades have gone from D's and F's to C's and B's. And as she looks at Mrs. Hanson, Mrs. Hanson makes eye contact. She realizes that she's smiling. And she's smiling at her. She can't remember the last time that she saw Sarah smile. As Sarah gets on the bus to go to A Village for One, she looks at her paper that she just got back from Mrs. Hanson, and her eyes light up. And as she bursts through the doors of Village for One, she goes, I got an A, I got an A, I got an A, I got an A! The first A she's ever got. And her counselor, who's celebrating with her, obviously, because she's very excited about this A, remembers the time when Sarah declared to her that school is useless and I never need to go. I'm going to quit as soon as I can. That same abused girl who was addicted to drugs, and that's the only thing that was on her mind, is now excited about that A that she got. And as the counselor looks at her, she realizes that she is finally learning what it means to be loved and what it means to come home and want to come home. While this story of Sarah is a work of fiction, I created her, she is based on real children with this story. And that story could be walking down our streets right now. In fact, that story is walking down our streets right now. DHS in Oregon alone has found about 470 children from the ages of 8 to 14 that have on a daily basis been sold and are continuing to be sold. These are the 470 are just those who are rescued. And they know only 1% have been getting rescued. These children only last about 5 years before they either commit suicide, they go and OD on drugs, or they're beaten to death. While right now we are only rescuing 1%, together we can increase that number. And that starts with recognizing the problem. We have a rampant problem in Oregon. In fact, we are a destination both Lincoln County and Oregon to sell children. This needs to change. And this changes by working with DHS and bugging them to death. And this changes by showing the compassion and recognizing these signs. Together, we can turn that 1% into 50% or more.
Madam Clerk, can you give the Congress report on the two speakers?
I certainly can. Larry's very humorous and preposterous speech went over a bit. He was at 7 minutes, 20 seconds. And Laura Lee's very informative, persuasive speech was at 9 minutes, 8 seconds.
Are you filling out your forms here? And that lady in my other club is an advocate against human trafficking. And she has to Lincoln City to do a study that a lot of people didn't think that was that rampant here on the coast. And in that 1 week study, they had over 300 tips on the internet. And some of them were buyers and some of them were sellers. It isn't Lincoln County big time in the state. I hear she's done 6 speeches for us up there. She's a new speaker, but they're all on that same thing. That's her passion. I'm glad to hear it from much. I think we got time for a few case topics. So, with that, Dr. Demento, provide us with prosperous case topics.
Thank you, Dave. Lee. Every year as we approach spring, we spring forward in time. If you could spring forward in time, what time would you like to land in?
Fellow Toastmasters. Once in a while I get a migraine that causes me to get confused. So if I can't remember a word, it's probably because I'm having one right now. So it may have been because this past weekend, my clock had to jump forward an hour, which is really hard for me. I get used to a time, and it is worse than jet lag, because in jet lag, your situation changes, you expect it. When the calendar or the clock changes, you have to get up an hour early. All of a sudden, your routine is the same, but the whole routine and everybody else's seems to happen an hour early. That makes daylight saving time very difficult for me. I would prefer to jump ahead on what time it is. Only I would keep it the same all year. Our local representative, I was talking to one day, and I suggested that if he would introduce that to the legislature, I would vote for him. He doesn't care for my vote. So it isn't worth it to him, so I don't vote for him. That is the first thing I would put on the legislature, is to get us out of the semi-annual change in our clocks. I feel like we're a bunch of lemons. We don't really run into the sea like we think we do, but I think we do. One thing that I think about daylight saving is they figured we were supposed to save some energy. I wonder if anybody's kept track of how many people fall off a ladder or step stool trying to change 8 or 10 clocks in everybody's house. So good luck if we try to change daylight saving.
All right, thank you. Svetlana, you can hear us? Are you
Yes,
muted?
I can hear you, yes.
Wonderful. So what signs of spring do you look for as spring approaches in your country?
What signs I look for, what signs of spring I look for in my country, where I am now? Well, I was looking for signs of winter to begin with, because winter should end and spring should begin, but winter never came to Uzbekistan. It sprinkled 3 times with some snow, and who managed to take pictures, they were lucky. Still, we are happy that spring is here, although we hope for more precipitation, for more rain. But surely signs of spring are smiles, softer air, probably warmer temperature, and of course, the blooming trees. And I can talk about trees a lot because we have honey trees, trees that are essential for the nutrition of bees. And trees in our area of Central Asia start blooming in early spring till autumn, providing nutrition for bees. And what is very important, those trees are not the ones that grow in the garden and are treated with pesticides, but trees that grow in the streets, that trees that have been taking care of themselves, trees that don't need good soil, good irrigation or anything. They multiply by seeds, by roots, and by shoots. And I had this crazy idea that we should actually, when janitors are sweeping in late autumn the leaves and seeds from the streets, they should take them directly to the barren lands of the deserts and just put them there, one maybe meter at a time, and gradually fill up that space, and all these deserts can turn into gardens. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, the year is 1377, and you live here on the Central Oregon coast. What spring rituals are you observing?
Thirteen 1777 on the Central Oregon coast. That is America. I would be, I believe, waiting on a run of salmon so that I could fish my brains out and try to get enough food. I guess in spring I wouldn't be worried again about it. I would just be worried about laying up a good supply of salt fish. I would probably be doing some astronomy, watching the sun and the stars and figuring out, exactly what time of the year it was and making my plan. I guess beyond that, I'm a little ignorant about 1377 and Central Oregon coast. Sort of glad I wasn't here because I am a modern guy. I like my modern convenience. So I think with that, I'm just going to fall into the pit.
And Sarah, what are your favorite spring colors?
My favorite spring colors are spring. To me, it's a special color when the trees are out of the ground. And it usually is an alarmingly strange looking thing, with like inevitable thing will be like an alder tree that's really God, that tree is dying. What the hell happened to it over there? Or some wrinkly little curly thing will come out of the ground, and it's like, no, that's a fiddle fern. I should pick it. And so I'm constantly amazed that spring brings its magic and colors. Light green and blue and baby blue and soft colors that the somewhat ugly beginnings of a creative spring.
One more. So the last preposterous question goes to Krista. Our weather has been so unpredictable lately. Is spring yet?
Well, weather is predictably unpredictable, particularly on the Oregon coast. In Alaska, I could predict it's going to be solid snow and cold until the end of May. Here, I thought we were having an incredibly mild winter. I felt that in December, and I felt that in January. But what I failed to realize is that it wasn't winter yet. It always hits later than I think it should. So then we had these incredibly cold temperatures, and normally for us, it's 1 week, maybe 2, and I felt it's been 3, and then 4, and how many months now? I don't even know. It feels like it's been months of just cold and frost. And so I think what will happen is that out of the blue, maybe this weekend, wouldn't that be lovely? All of a sudden it's going to warm up and it's going to be 65 degrees. And then if we all wish hard enough, it will stay that way and just continue to get warmer. You know how we get all the way up to 67 in the summer. And we will enjoy that summer until it goes into an extended fall, and then I feel winter is over, and yet then it's done.
Please remember to vote and send votes down to me.
And we get a timer's report on the 4 table topics.
Certainly. Our table topics this morning, well, somewhat preposterous. There's the hint of spring yesterday. Look back up when I get up this morning. Lee was exactly at 2 minutes. But Lana was at 2 minutes 15. Brian was at 1 minute 12. Sarah was at 1 minute 2. And Krista was at 1 minute 16.
That brings us on to the evaluation portion now. Our first evaluator, evaluating Larry, is Sassy Sarah here. Sassy Sarah Scampser. Please welcome.
Well, it's my pleasure to group this week, actually, but I think it's preposterous going along with the corrected past, like people know what it is. It's great. But it was a hilarious speech that was how to revitalize a full brain and something new, and I think you carried your theme throughout. That you ended it, brought it all back around. You know, that you just need to tell a good old story. Everybody does the thing. But I'm glad you did something new, as different as it was. But, and your overall use of grammar and your puns continue to just boggle the mind. And I think that you're pretty good at letting us laugh, and when it's so many of them, it's good that you didn't let us laugh all the time. And so I thought it was had a good pace to it. And there was just some hesitation here and there. I think it's a new speech to you, and maybe this was the first run, and good use of grammar. There was just a little hesitation But all in all, I think it was, God, my old brain revitalized, thinking about what I'm going to do. And so all I have to say is, holy smoke, it was great.
Evaluating Laura Lee, our Dutch Harbor camp. Mr. Colway.
It was preposterous that you had to give such a serious speech after such a lighthearted speech. So that was very difficult. This is, I believe, your last speech before getting your gold. That is quite an accomplishment, and I do have a couple comments for you. It's supposed to be uplifting spirit. And one of the questions here is comment on the information presented. Was it well thought out and easily understood? Well, yes, it was definitely easily understood and thought out. Did you detect any element of confusion, doubt, or uncertainty? And this regarded more the audience, I believe, than in you, because there was no uncertainty on your side. For me, I gotta admit, I was a little confused about Sarah because I felt like maybe she was enjoying the situation. It sounded a little bit lighthearted. Okay, and she was.
She was. Most of them actually don't even know they're being exploited. In fact, when they're rescued, most of them want to go back.
Then you conveyed that. But I was a little confused because in my brain, which I have not studied this, and I feel bad about, I felt like this happens, like somebody's walking down the street, they get abducted into a van and tied up. Like they would want to escape. And so I realized as I was writing notes, that's probably not the way it happens. They get lured in. So maybe what I would suggest is adding, she doesn't understand the consequences. She's been lured in through whatever brainwashing and drugs. You did mention the drugs. I thought the approach of having a fictional character was very good. When I knew you were giving an uplifting speech, I thought, oh, she's going to make me cry. I do cry easily, and your topics are usually very serious, but I like that it was fictional and it was stated in the beginning. Okay. And then you went to the real life stats. Thought it was a very appropriate segue. How did the audience respond to the speaker? Were they respectful, tuned into what was said, emotionally moved? Did they believe in your views? How could we not be emotionally moved by this subject? It's appalling. And as an audience, of course, I think we're always very quiet and respectful to that. So commenting on your style and delivery, voice and gestures, were they of a superior quality of expression and did they fit the occasion? Yeah, you absolutely did. My note was I thought it felt a bit lighthearted, but that fit exactly what you were trying to convey to us. You always do an excellent job of not using notes, of knowing your material, and yet it doesn't feel completely memorized and just being spit back out at us. And then your body language, your tone changed with conviction towards the end. I felt you were very passionate about what you were saying. What I would have added was more that uplifting, what we can do about it, a challenge to the audience. If you notice anything like this, call this number. I think maybe adding that at the end. And it says here, did the speech satisfy the expectations of the audience? Did it uplift the spirit of the audience? Ask them. Did we feel uplifted at the end? Motivated? Perhaps add a little bit of that motivation and uplifting. The story of how she did escape, that was, I believe, the uplifting part. Someone noticed, someone took the time. I think, and you were mentioning too in that the benefits to her, how she started doing better in school. So it was there, but maybe with some more practice, it would be conveyed even better. Excellent.
Do we have a 10 topics champion?
Oh. There's me.
Yes, we did by one vote.
Sarah was our table topics winner. And it's yours. You have it for a week.
Hey, there it goes.
And we have one more evaluator, and that's my evaluator, Svetlana, our general evaluator.
One preposterous thing that I can think about when I speak about this amazing social breakfast today is that preposterously early hour. You see, preposterously early hour of the meeting. Because as far as I know, you're 1 hour earlier today than usually. And I think it's amazing how these people get together and they are not only able to laugh and to help and to support each other, but also to be really clever and with their speeches and everything. Now the Toastmaster of the day, Dave, managed to add that sip of coffee for everyone with that AKA. I thought it was a really, really good thought, a really good invention. And so that made those initial laughs and created that atmosphere of humor and public speaking as usual, which is very, very, very characteristic of this club of Yaquina Toastmasters. The evaluators, I thought, really built the speakers. Larry's speech was very, very humorous. I even lost count of laughs that we had. Although I didn't hear everything. I think he was talking about marijuana. And is that correct? Yes, he was talking about marijuana, right? And
Yes.
Because like I wasn't really hearing him so well, I only guessed, but 3 days ago I had guests and we went to the medieval these monuments, and we went to the boutique shops. We saw the embroideries, and for the first time in my life I heard that not the pomegranates were embroidered, but the opium poppies were embroidered on the local embroideries. And then I thought, just like marijuana is being, justified in the West, so maybe by and by we are talking about opium poppy here, and it is now allowed to say. And indeed, we have very old traditions of using it. Now, okay, the evaluators, they built the speakers. They pointed out a lot of good things that the speakers did, but they also provided recommendations. And I think both for Larry, recommendations provided by Sarah, and for Lauralee, I think the recommendations will help them improve their speeches. And I understand that Lauralee is going to probably make more speeches about this tremendous topic. I was really touched, and I heard her speech a little bit better. I thought grammarian's word of the day, preposterous, was amazing, and I thought, well, actually, he came up with that word of the early hour, because I can't think of anything else that could be preposterous at the meeting, but the word was pronounced so many times. What else can I say about this meeting? I enjoyed it so much. Table topics were very interesting, very funny questions, and everyone had to say something, as I did too. Thank you for asking me the question as well. Thank you, I enjoyed it. Very good Toastmaster of the day. Excellent, masterful, and thank you.
One more timers report really quickly, the timers report on the evaluators.
The timer failed.
And that means that they were all in the proper amount of
That's
time.
right.
So with that, I guess I'll have to turn it back over. Oh, grammarian's report, yes, pardon me.
Essentially, everybody used the word of the day. And I did not hear, I may have heard one but I did not hear a lot of face filler kinds of words. So I think we've all gotten there, and we can just stop meeting at 7 o'clock.
Now then, we can turn it back over to Chris.
We have filled the roles for next week. The evaluators will be the same evaluators from last time. Brian's going to conduct the meeting because unfortunately I won't be here again. It's not that I don't want to meet the princesses, but it's just bad timing. Kathleen will do the table topics and we will be the timer.